I'm Dr. Patrick Bury. I'm a reader in security at the University of Bath. Was a soldier, now I'm an academic, and I specialise in counter-terrorism and warfare. I grew up on a estate outside Dublin to an English mother and an Irish father, and because my mum was English and I was always interested in playing soldiers, she took me to visit the Parachute Regiment Museum when we were over visiting her family. Little did I know that 20 years later I'd be standing under the same Dakota plane during one of their training courses. Towards the end of university, I was looking at joining either the Irish Army or the British Army, and I was honoured to be selected to be an officer in the Royal Irish Regiment, which is the last Irish regiment of the line. And I was a platoon commander out in Afghanistan, leading these soldiers in a complex, high-threat insurgency environment. And it was a pinnacle of sort of the professional soldiering for me anyway. I've always been a bit of a cerebral chap. I was only a kind of average infantry officer, and I'd done a master's before joining the army, and I'd written a few articles for the Irish Times on behalf of the regiment when I was in Afghanistan. So I had the basis for a memoir about our platoon's time in Afghanistan. So when I left, I sort of switched into that mode and wrote up a memoir called Call Sign Hades. Because of the book, right, this guy Neil comes to interview me about a project he's doing. He's got a PhD, yeah, he's a researcher. Another friend, Professor Caroline Kennedy Pipe, invites me to work on a project on IEDs. So you see, it's starting to link, the links are starting to grow into academia then. I basically applied for a few jobs, looked at doing a PhD, and ended up working for NATO for a year as a research analyst, which was a brilliant experience. So during my time in NATO, I was looking around deciding what I wanted to do next, and a PhD was on the horizon, so I reached out to Professor Anthony King, who was the Chair of War Studies at Exeter at the time, and he basically said, well, if you want to do a PhD, the main reason to do that is if you want to teach, which I did. And so I was lucky enough to get accepted onto the PhD program there, and crucially get the funding as well. So doing the PhD, it really awakened in me this desire to be able to do research, to read, to write, and also to teach. I wrote about what I knew, which is military sociology, having lived it, and following my PhD, I was lucky enough to get a job at Bath. So basically, I trained as a military sociologist, right? And then the future leadership was on counter-terrorism, was to take the skills that I'd learned and apply them. Not many people were doing that at the time. In terms of what are my drivers now, I suppose the biggest one is trying to make our communities and our societies as safe as possible against terrorism. So everything that can be done is being done. I don't normally reflect back and say, oh, I was a soldier and now I'm academic. The whole transition has been organic. The development of myself as an academic has allowed me to basically transition from one topic and strengthen my skills with another topic.